Hello, Lulu. Guess who's coming to dinner?
Happy Monday. Guess who's coming to dinner? We have a seat at the table for a dinner conversation tonight with what you call a bona fide servant of the community. She knows about community service because she has given of her time, and that's how I met her. But before we get to our guest, let's go back a little bit to some of the events that have taken place over the weekend. One of the events that has kind of struck me, I guess, in the wrong way, I sat and today I listened to Mr. Stephen A. I like Stephen A. Smith on First Take. Mr. John Morant. Now, you know I love my basketball. But young brother has flashed a gun while he's in a club in a video. I just want to know when they get into the NBA, is there anybody that tells them you're getting ready to make a whole lot of money? So, because if you've got a prime example of what not to do. LeBron James has never been in the news for anything negative about hanging out with his boys. Steph Curry has never been in the news about anything negative. And are they making bank? Stupid money. But because their character is representative of that those are the people that companies want to represent them. John Morant has $194 million on the table for 5 years with the Memphis Grizzlies. And you trying to be up in the club and flashing a gun? Please. There's something missing. There's not enough mentorship. There's not enough concern. And I know his dad is involved with him. And this is just my personal opinion. And I can actually say what I want to say because, see, this is my show. But to be a parent is not to be your child's friend. Not like that. Not hanging out and turning up and getting lit. That's not what parents do. Parents guide. They nurture. They instruct. Okay? So I just pray all of this works out for the young man because people are watching him. And if you can't think of anything better to do than blow all of your opportunities that you work so hard for, you know, I've got a little cousin up in the DC, Virginia area who's a hooper, whose work ethic is impeccable. Shout out to Acaden. Bad, tough, but he is full of guidance from a parent that's not trying to be his running buddy, but trying to support him in every way possible. Kudos to you, Jared. Oh, yeah. These are my relatives, and Jared is raising his son to be a man with a purpose, with his God-given talent to know how to use it, to know how to treat people, to know how to carry himself. I'm just saying. We need to pay attention to our children in a more nurturing kind of way. I didn't have children, but they couldn't hang with me. They wouldn't be my running buddies. You can't go in your room and lock your door because I'm going to kick it in. Only doors get locked in my house is the front door. Come on. So I guess there's some new way of thinking about raising children. But especially when they have chances to be multimillionaires, they need to be finance savvy. They need to learn a lot about being a grown-up way before they get to be a grown-up. if they got skills. So just think about that when your child says, "You just won't let me do this." My mama I used to say, tell my mother, "Well, so and so's mama let her do it." She says, "I'm not so and so's mama." She was right. But back to the focus of tonight's show, I want to present to some and introduce to others the CEO and founder of making making I'm gonna say it making things together,
Making
making
changes.
changes together.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Ebony Orea. Hey, Ebony.
Hi, Miss Janice.
How you doing, sweetie? I know
I'm
you
doing
said this woman is crazy over here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mess up the name of your company. Making changes together. Why'd you name it that? What kind of changes are you trying to make?
so. First, thank you for having me, Miss Janice. It's a pleasure to be with you for dinner. I've missed you.
I've
Uh,
missed you.
back in, I guess this was maybe 2004. I had just graduated from Kent School of Social Work,
Okay.
and all of the things that I was interested in for my career just evolved around change. And
Okay.
so change is always upon us. It's constant. It's something that, sometimes we know it's coming and sometimes we absolutely don't. Uh, but I always believe that we can make these changes together, and that's really the only way to create sustainable change. So making changes together was another way for me to I guess continue that mission of helping people figure out how change happens and how we overcome it and how we navigate it. And
Right.
so yeah, that was making changes together.
All right. I like change. There's me being in the music business, there's a song called Everything Must Change. Nothing stays the same.
Nothing stays the same, and it shouldn't. It absolutely shouldn't.
No,
Change doesn't have to be bad,
no,
or
doesn't have to be bad. No.
change.
Sometimes change is very good.
Very good, very good.
Very good,
And
yes.
even the changes that we don't think are good, sometimes are necessary.
Yeah,
And so being sure that we, kind of manage those changes and navigate those changes the best way we know how,
right,
I think is always good for, positive outcomes.
right, right.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about who Ebony is and uh, where you grew up and where you went to school and how you navigated yourself to Kent, and you made that choice of wanting to be of service. Tell me how you got here.
I it's a very long story, and I guess
No, just
that's
make
how.
it short.
Well, I think that's how, I got so comfortable with change. So I grew up in a single parent household. My mom, we moved around a lot when I was a little girl because she was really just navigating her career.
Okay.
She's a radio personality for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, both my mom and my dad, both radio personalities.
Oh
If I tell you
wow.
his name, Neil O'Ray. Uh,
Okay.
used to work for
How
WLOU.
are you? Okay.
Uh,
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
I know. I figured as soon as I said his name, most people do remember Super Neil being on the radio here in Louisville.
Yeah.
And so my mom being in the radio industry in Detroit, and Saginaw, Xenia, she started in Xenia, Ohio,
Okay. Central
WDAO,
State.
Dayton. Yeah. And so just watching them navigate the changes that come, but growing up in a household where we moved around a lot, I had to be adaptive.
Hmm.
So I was born in Danville, Kentucky.
Okay.
Well, I was born in Louisville, Kentucky. My mom's from Danville, Kentucky.
Okay. Okay.
And just growing up in Ohio and Michigan, and so it really did shape my care, I think, for just how we navigate the different spaces that we find ourselves in. So I think I had a natural, I guess, interest in social work because
Okay.
I always liked helping people. I tried to be helpful
Okay.
anyway, and helpful with my mom and making sure that everything was taken care of, and navigating school. I graduated from school at an early age because, when you move around a lot, you don't really have a lot of friends. And so you kind of throw yourselves into, books and other things. And so I was able to graduate high school early because I poured a lot of my time and energy into, my academics.
Okay.
So
Not a
I
bad thing to do at all.
No, not at all. I actually spoke it into existence. I just knew that I was going to graduate early. And so I had always fixed myself to be one who was
Right.
studious and wanted to, kind of get out of school.
Right.
And so
Hurry
it
up,
was just,
hurry up and get that part over with, huh?
yes, let's get this part over. Well, because it wasn't fun for me because I moved around so much. I never
Right.
did really get to, get comfortable and have those childhood friends that most people have. And so I wanted to be done with school. But it taught me so much. Moving around a lot taught me that I don't have to meet strangers. There are lots of good people in this world. And that's
And
how I started.
it had to give you a lot of confidence to be able to walk into new schools,
Yes.
meet new people. Know you got to go through this over and over again. And once you've done it, you get better at it and better at
Yeah.
it, especially
Yeah.
as you got older, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So when I graduated high school a year early, I did come to the University of Louisville. I fell in love with the study of the mind, and so
Okay.
how people think, and how that impacts our behaviors.
Hmm.
Uh, so I studied psychology. I had a minor in Pan African Studies because growing up. Really in Danville during those high school years, we didn't have a lot of, our history. And so I
Right.
fell in love. I fell in love with Pan African Studies. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say I took Dr. Hudson was a really great
I was
professor.
gonna say you. It sounds like you were under blame.
Absolutely. He
Oh
was
wow.
my dear heart. He actually helped me get into grad school after I had graduated from University of Louisville. I moved away and thought that I was going to go into social work in a different way in
Hmm.
terms of child protective services. So I had worked for the state of Florida for a couple of years and decided that, you know, I want to go back home. And so Dr. Hudson and I had a couple conversations and here I found myself enrolling at the Kent School of Social Work. And so really and truly that's a short way of saying that I had experienced a lot of changes growing up,
Right.
but had always used them to kind of support me in what I thought was a gift. And
Hmm.
now I keep giving that gift back to community because, yeah, I do. I find so much joy in being able to share tools and tips of networking and community building and, being able to connect to resources that will certainly help you, see your next, best steps forward.
Right.
And so here I
That's
am.
kind of that's what I want this podcast to do. Just everything you just said to help connect people. I mean, I'd like to help small businesses, you
Oh, yeah.
know, to figure out how to entrepreneurs how to start businesses. The things that I had Miss Verna uh, ghosting on, and about she was talking about certifying your business and things that sometimes we don't get all the information, us black
Mm-hmm.
folks, that we need in order to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be a resource to connect us to information about our health, everything that has anything to do with us and our existence. I want to be a conduit to get the word out.
Yes.
This is where you go. This to be a resource. I want to be the same thing That's what I want to do with this podcast.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you had me because that's exactly what, my vision has always been in terms of being what I would consider a community connector, just
Okay.
someone who is, connecting dots, and really knowing a lot of people and resources that would help, that are there to help. And
Right.
so sometimes we don't know because we just don't know.
Right.
And so if I can be someone who can point you in the right direction or share some information that might be helpful in any given situation, then that's exactly what I want to do. It's what most social workers do anyway. We're just in the business of, helping people improve their lives.
So tell me, Ebony, what are kind of a couple of your goals this year for your company? What are things that you want to see happen this year that you know that you can make happen through
Yeah.
making changes together?
That's awesome. Thanks for asking that question. Because I've been actually in the middle of what I would say a shift in my career.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
while I have been heavily focused over the last 10 years or so on community building, community organizing, organizing around issues that are concerning for our community. I have now, well, I would say since the pandemic, understood the impact of, mental health
Right.
in a different kind of way. And so a lot of my career focus has shifted to focusing on supporting mental health
Okay.
and improving access to mental health for those who absolutely just, they wouldn't access it otherwise. And
Right.
so here lately, I have been working with the Boys and Girls Club of Kentuckiana,
Okay.
ensure that they make mental health services available to the kids that they serve. And so it's been a pleasure being able to build out a mental health program that will provide coping skills and um, tools that we are learning, right, as we're
Right.
navigating this new world, and making sure that young people understand that mental health is just like your physical health.
Right.
If you do good, then
Right.
you'll feel good. And so making sure that folks pay attention to just as much of their mental health as they do to their physical health.
Right.
And so for my business this year, really is making sure that I am creating a model that we can replicate. There are 4 Boys and Girls Clubs right here in our city.
Right.
And so making sure that all of those clubs has both male and female therapists that look like the kids that they serve, because that's
Okay.
super important. But then also that we're including their families, at least sharing what it is that we're doing with their kids so that they can take it home or share the same language that we're using. And working with the staff, because we're not far removed from any trauma that we might be experiencing individually or as a collective. And so just making sure that the staff too are aware of their own mental health and making
Right.
sure that they're taking care of themselves. Because as you know, when you're riding on an airplane, you got to put your own mask on first before you can assist anybody else. And
Right.
so my sole focus is to making sure that this model that we're creating is something that could be replicated not just across this city, but I think that as we move farther and farther along this journey of life, we'll find that everybody needs to take care of their mental health. There's so many people who are not doing well, so many people who are not okay. And because, one reason or another, they don't have someone to talk to.
Right.
They don't have an outlet or a resource to turn to. And a lot of our people are in crises. And so I just want to make sure that everybody can at least, pick up a phone and call somebody. Or be referred to a resource or a therapist. And I tell people all the time, sometimes, you don't need therapy, but you do need a friend who you can, share with, and them
Right.
not judge you for what you're thinking or feeling, but really want to make sure that, you're taking care of yourself, and that we increase the amount of positive things that are happening in your life so that
Mm.
these changes that are happening around us and to us, doesn't, kind of send us over the top, over the hill. So,
Well, that's something that I know that happened. I've noticed that happened during the pandemic, that the connectivity with people, that we were disconnected. We became very disconnected, and a lot of people. You think about all the single women or all the single men, and the children having to stay at home and not be in school, and having that socialization period. That caused some mental health issues,
it did.
across the board, young and old.
Hmm.
Your senior citizens, they weren't able to go out and be around people. And if they didn't have family, then nobody was coming to see about them.
Hmm.
So there's a lot uh, that we should have taken from the pandemic, that would make us better about being more
Yes.
caring for one another.
Yes. Yep.
And even if you just, like you said, had someone to talk to, sometimes you really don't know how you're feeling until you hear yourself in a conversation with somebody. You say, "Ooh, I found out that I had really been affected by
Hmm.
seeing the death of George Floyd on TV."
Yeah.
And I was saying, this it was like unfathomable to me. I never in my wildest thought I'd ever see this. When the
Hmm.
last poets were saying, when the revolution comes, we'll be watching television. Then there we were, watching television, watching them kill us.
Yes, yes. And so these are traumatic events that we are all experiencing.
Yeah,
Not saying that they didn't happen before, but we know about them a whole lot
yeah,
more now, because of technology and social media. And just to think of what that does to a person's mindset
right,
is devastating. In the sense that we're experiencing it all the time.
right,
And just like you said, we don't know that we're experiencing it until until it's hindsight. Oh, well, maybe I did,
right,
experience, some trauma either growing up or watching
right.
TV. And
And
so,
then just hearing the hate every day.
oh my gosh, yes.
The hate,
Seeing it, hearing it. I was just
yeah,
talking to somebody earlier today just about, our young people and what they
right,
might be experiencing, 10, 11, 12,
right,
they're, middle school is probably one of the roughest periods of life for young people. And it's nothing like when we grew up,
no,
when things were a little less, I would say, frightening.
right,
But, you know, our young people need trusted adults that they can talk to, that they, feel as though they can share,
right,
their feelings in a healthy way,
right,
um, without being shamed or ridiculed for, being upset or experiencing any emotion for that matter.
right,
Um, and in our community, talking to people about things is so taboo. You better not tell the business, our business. So, what happens in our house stays in our house, and so on and so forth. But what I find is that when young people don't feel like they can talk to anybody about anything, then that's when those thoughts start playing out in their mind, and the behaviors start to show up in a way in which they really are trying to process what they're experiencing. So,
right. They start having those one-way conversations with themselves. That's the only voice that they hear is their own.
yes, ma'am.
And
Absolutely.
and that doesn't send them in the right direction. But then when you said you're working with Kentuckiana Boys and Girls Club, so you all got a big event coming up, huh?
Yes, yes, yes.
The,
They do.
the
They do.
sneaker ball.
It is the sneaker ball, and I'm super excited because it's sold out.
It's
Uh,
sold out already.
yes, it is, and it's a whole. I think there's still maybe three. It's still 3 weeks away, which is unheard of because Louisville takes their time
Louisville
about
is
buying.
last minute buy tickets for anything.
So it's kind of exciting that it is a sold out event. Of course, we have Coach Prime coming,
I
and
mean, look, I'm
yeah,
supposed to be at that ball. And I
well,
can't even get a ticket. Well,
I was
unless
gonna
I
say,
might.
I
If
was like, well, people, and
I
I'm
know, I know some people. I'm
people.
gonna see if I can put a word out. Check with my peeps.
Absolutely.
But that sounds like it's going to be a fabulous affair. I was trying at one point when last year before when he moved over, Mr. Unseld,
Yes.
to bring him on the show, and
Oh, okay.
he was just leaving the Metro United Way,
Mm-hmm.
and he was saying, "Well, I need to get situated over here first, and then well, I'm still moving and doing what I'm doing." So when I saw it coming up, I said, "I need to have him on," and I still can have him on. Well, that's this month, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And so if you wait till, the end of this month, well, I understand it's Women's History Month, so maybe
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I said, I don't know how I
we'll
can work
save
that in.
him for
But at
May.
least we did a plug tonight.
Yes, we did. And maybe he'll join you at a future time and tell you all about how the sneaker ball went and how much wonderful support he received and funds he was
Right.
able to raise for the youth that they
See, that's
serve.
why I need to show up so I could film the sneaker ball.
Oh, okay.
So just keep that in mind.
I
We'll talk
will.
about that. But Ebony, the first time I think I really remember meeting you was at the church down on 32nd and Broadway
Yes, ma'am.
for a dirt bowl
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, we met, and I think that's when we took all those nice photos. So it was a
Yes.
photo shoot. And it was those I have a lot of great memories of things that I've done in the community, and by far the Dirt Bowl project certainly ranks top tier.
Because you were really kind of influential with Darcy with the book.
Mm-hmm. Well, Darcy trusted me. I had known Darcy for a while. He trusted me to go and collect the stories of those who have played in the Dirt Bowl, those who started the Dirt Bowl, and it was a treat. And so I was in community, either in a gym, interviewing someone who was playing in the Dirt Bowl at the time.
Right.
I've interviewed legends of the Dirt Bowl. And it by far has been one of my favorite things that I can look back on and say, wow. And I've met a lot of amazing people through that project.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, so one of my favorite community projects was certainly Louisville Story Program's The History of the Dirt Bowl.
Wow.
I
Yes.
said bang.
The Dirt Bowl. The Dirt Bowl. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So so now how did the pandemic affect your business?
Whew. Well,
girl, please.
Hey, and honestly, I'll just say first and foremost, God is good.
Yes.
I was not impacted in a way as others were financially. I was able to continue working. Working looked different.
Right.
It was hard because of the change, right? We
Right.
had to completely shift the way that we operate, not just in business, but in life.
Right.
And it was challenging, but lots of Zoom meetings, lots of moving things that we once were able to do in the community. We were having Zoom parties.
Right.
Trying to get folks to complete the census, by sending out links and emails and being on. I mean, we did a lot of good community work, and had to do it.
It had a big effect on the census.
Oh, I know.
Had a really big effect on the census. I think that's one of the things that, as the African American community, did not benefit from that. Because there were things taken away from us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, because people don't know. And it's so interesting. I love being able to do these projects and then share the knowledge that even I gained, right? But people don't understand that completing the census means the resources that the community actually needs is coming based on the amount of people that live in that neighborhood.
Right.
And so, when you tell it that way, you're like, oh, well, let me complete the census, other than just sending me a link and telling me it's important for me to do it. Especially in the Black community where, we don't really want to give out too much information.
Right.
And so we're hesitant to say how many kids live in our house or how many other
Right.
people live in our house that not
Right.
supposed to be really living in our house, so
Right.
those things, are kind of, things that prevent us from taking action. But when you educate people about why, and what's so important about it and what is it going to do, then you can see how people want to engage and actually participate. And some folks will just share with you why they were hesitant to participate for one reason or another. And so those things are important. And particularly when you can link it to something that folks care about.
Right. You got to.
You do?
I used to work at the Census Bureau.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to be one of those people that called people to get them to answer the questions on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I would kind of, if I felt they were reluctant, to try to coerce them, and sometimes using my inner senses to tell whether they were Black or not, how I could get to them to say, there are programs that could be beneficial to your household, that they won't get funded if you have not been counted. If you don't, if Black folks don't get counted, Black folks don't get no services.
Right, exactly. And we're the ones who really need the services, right? And so when you can connect those dots for someone, then it really does make a difference in how somebody wants to engage in their community. So a lot of what I do is really sharing the information that I've gotten or gained over time and making sure that it makes sense to people so that they can make a decision for themselves, at that point. So.
Wow. So all the family is good?
Yes. Oh my goodness. They're so good. So the 7-year-old, she was a baby when you first met her.
Right.
But
She
she's
came over to my house. You and the baby came to my house. So that's been what? So that's 5-6 years ago at least.
Yeah, exactly. And so she's doing great. She's in the second grade. Yes.
Girl, I'm talking about you.
Yes. Say hi and then say bye. And so, no, ma'am. So she's doing good. Second grade. She's a gym star. She loves gymnastics. She can do any flip, turn, or I'll brag on her for a second. She is in the second grade, but reads at a 5th grade level. And so she's ready.
She's all that,
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the older young man, I would call him, he's 16. He'll be 17 next month. He's driving. He actually just left so he can run to the store for me. And that is a pleasure because I really don't like running a lot of errands.
I hear you.
So,
well, I just knew that you were somebody that I wanted to highlight. Because you're doing the work, the work that takes a lot of care and concern for us.
Mm-hmm.
And working with the Boys and Girls Club now. I heard you mention protective services. Did you work in protective services?
Yeah, I did. I did the state of Florida Child Protective Services for a couple of years, and that's when I realized I did not want to do that for the rest of my life.
I did protective services in Las Vegas.
Oh wow!
I worked with unmanageable youth and abused kids.
Yes. Yep.
So that was my forte, but it also made me see that my gift could be more in a auntie kind of vein. A couple of the kids became my kids.
Absolutely.
I have one girl that considers me her mother.
Oh, that's so sweet.
There was another young lady and her name happened to be Janice. So she was Janice Jr.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so cute. Yes.
But it meant a lot to me because I just really got into trying to help them.
Yeah.
And even there was a tragic story. There was a baby that had been abused.
Mm-hmm.
And I had thought about adopting this baby, but I didn't. And I moved to New York. And when I came back, there was a story on the news, but his parents seem to have lost him in a swap meet and
Ooh.
never to be seen again. But
Oh,
then they found
oh,
remnants of the baby's body.
oh, that's so
And then
sad.
I had to call somebody at the center and say, is that the baby that I was? They said, that's the baby you were in love with. And I felt so bad that I didn't save that baby. I could have rescued that baby. But I
Mhm.
went to see about stars and lights and, but that's the way I have to look at it, that's the way God planned it.
Yes, yeah, you can't interfere with
Yeah.
God's plan.
No.
And, it was part of the reason why I had to walk away from Child Protective Services, because you won't be able to save them all.
Yeah,
That's hard. That's a
that's
hard
hard.
when
That's hard if you can't. You see, and you're so close and you can't do
Mhm.
anything about it.
Mhm. Can't do
Well,
anything.
Miss Ebony, I just want you to know that I am very proud of you,
Oh,
darling.
thank you. That means a lot.
And our connection was just so genuine to me that like when you reached back out to me and said we got to do coffee, I'm saying she felt what I felt.
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So
Yes.
I'm gonna wish you the best of luck with your business, and God will bless you because you're on the right track, doing the right things.
Mhm.
um And if you ever need to come on and you want to talk about some things, to share something that's going on with you and you got something going, or you want to get a word out, or you
Okay.
just want to discuss one of our issues that we need to pay attention to that needs to be
Mhm.
highlighted,
Okay, I will.
I'm here for you.
Oh,
Okay.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. And there's
Yeah.
always something going on. There's always something going on.
Always.
Yes, it's
Always.
submission season. So for those who are pursuing higher education, we administer scholarships in this community to help support young people in their pursuit of
So
secondary
how do they find out how to get in touch with
with the scholarship.
yes.
Visit the Community Foundation of Louisville's website.
Okay. All
So
right.
cflouisville.org. And the scholarship that I have the pleasure of supporting is 15,000 degrees. That's
Ah,
one of
that
my
that was a part of the book.
uh,
Not the book, but getting the degrees that many people receive their
yes,
degrees. Okay,
yes,
I
yes.
remember
So
that. Yeah,
yep, we had a goal as a community, 55,000 degrees, and
right.
so
That
sunset
was
in
before. Okay,
2020. Yep,
so
but
now
15,000
you got
degrees.
one for 15,000,
Yeah, it was
and
always a
now they're
part.
telling people they don't need a degree.
I know.
Yeah,
Which makes my job so hard. But no, I
because I
still do.
mean, they can flip the script on us, but if we're not prepared, we don't have the opportunity to go back and redo at certain times. Our lives need to be, this is what we need. Let's keep moving towards having that, because it can do nothing, still can do nothing but make your life better.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
may not need it.
absolutely.
They
Yeah.
tell you may not need it today, and then you need it tomorrow.
But one thing I will say, particularly for those who are in our public school system, there is nothing like a free education. And so if you do nothing, go and get your associate's degree from
Right.
Jefferson Community and Technical College or Simmons College of Kentucky. Because
Absolutely.
while you may not think you need it now, you don't want to get 10 years down the road
And
and
they
then
they
say,
change
I
the rules
would
again.
have, right? Or I could be making more money if I had, just a little,
Right.
something to lean back on. So yeah.
Right. Right.
Yep. But that's my plug.
Well, it's dinner time, Miss Ebony.
Yes,
Go
ma'am.
have your dinner. This was a wonderful dinner conversation.
Good.
Uh, I
Thank
wish you love, my sweetheart.
I love you. Thank
And I think you're just a shining example of someone with a pure heart.
you. Oh, well,
You
bless
know,
God. Amen.
you do good work.
Well, thank
I
you.
take my hat off to you. You do good work. So just keep me in your thoughts. I'll keep you in my prayers, and if there's ever anything you need, I'm right here. But
Okay.
back to this sneaker ball. I'm gonna take you off, and then I'm gonna come back.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right, sweetheart. Have a good evening. Okay. All right. That was Miss Ebony Orea. of Making Changes Together, LLC, founder and CEO. When you listen to young women tell you about their life experience and how they've come out strong and resilient amongst the changes and when you have to pivot. See, you can't get stuck on whatever it is that you're doing. Like right now, today is a wonderful day. Everything's great. When that pandemic hit, everybody was running around in a circle like a chicken. This podcast gave me a way to connect to people because I was used to being out and about, possibly singing in venues, and that wasn't happening. But this was a way that I could still connect, but I could connect on another level. And sometimes you have to change your vision. You know, singing is just what I was gifted from God to do. But I love politics. I love social justice. And I'm a child of the civil rights. So, you know, sometimes I used to tell people I'm a beret and a leather jacket short of being a Panther. Used to think that way. But my rationale and my wisdom with my age, shall I say, has brought me to a place where I think I view the world in a way that I could be helpful in sharing my opinions. You know, you don't have to take my advice or accept my opinions, but they're mine. Just like they say with that critical race theory, like it didn't happen. It happened, honey. It happened. However, they try to keep it from being exposed and being shared, because Black folks are going to share their history. They can't stop us from doing that. They cannot. On that note, it's dinner time. Bon appetit. Have a wonderful evening. Have a fantastic evening. And this will play again on Friday at 7 p.m. Facebook, YouTube, Roku, and I share it on LinkedIn. So take care of yourself. I'll see you next Monday. It's Women's Her Story Month, and Miss Ebony Orea was our first honoree for the month. How about that? We'll see you next time. Ciao.